As you know, we've had erstwhile Mohammed Khan, Geeta Rao, Harsha Bhogle, and yet another rediffusionist. And that's Rana Barua, Group CEO, Havas. I'd like to ask our MD, Dr. Sandeep, going to say a few words.
This is really going to be a few words because our guest of honor, Rana Barua, is the guy we are looking forward to spending a lot of time with us today, saying a few good things, interesting things. But I thought there should be always in advertising a bit of a twist in the tale. So to introduce Rana, I have a very, very, very special guest, and that is another very famous rediffusionist, Shaban Barua. So before I hand over the mic to Shaban to introduce Rana, I want to tell you that, if memory serves me right, Rana joined Rediffusion in 99 or 2000. Yeah? Correct. Okay, that's not bad. And Conrad Saldana, who comes up in every conversation, every time we have a Red Talk, told me that, no, I'm not sure, I've forgotten the sequence. I think we were recruiting one of the Baruas. So I think it was Shaban, and I still remember having this chat at the Taj Mahal Hotel in Delhi. And Connie told me, you know, this girl's good. I said, no, she's not good, she's very good. He said, I tell you what, her husband is equally good. I said, that's difficult. Right? So I said, so he said, I am thinking we should take both the Baruas. Now we had a company policy of not having man and wife both work in the agency. And that rule had been very rarely broken. I think it had been broken when Ithurians worked at Rediff. I think a couple of times more. But I'm glad I agreed to break the rule one more time. And I had the proud privilege of having both Rana and Shaban Barua work with me during my earlier stint at Rediffusion. More importantly, I moved on, and I think they moved on and whatever, but we remained in touch. We remain very, very good friends. And I'm delighted really to welcome Rana and Shaban to Rediffusion. Shaban, please introduce Rana. I hope you know enough, huh?
Actually, I've kept a few notes. Hi, Team Rediff. So delighted to be here. And honestly, I keep saying this, some of the best advertising years, creative years, was spent here. And we were part of the Colgate team. I was part of the Colgate team. And that team was a little island within you know, in this Rediff system. And the rest, more privileged people, they did interesting things like new business, etc., etc. And the only time Rana and I have ever worked together was in Rediff, and it was such a special thing. We've never repeated it, never will again. But great memories. So, and this is, as always, Sandeep has this fantastic ability of throwing curveballs at you and saying, okay, now go and deal with it. And he said, you have to introduce Rana. I said, so I went into that whole Hindi movie thing that Rana ke baare mein main kya bolu? So he said, no, you figure it out. So I don't want to take too much time in building the personal stories and all. That's not fair. We have to talk about Rana's career achievements. So we've been contemporaries. He and I have worked pretty much together for a fairly long stint of our career. And this is something I've always realized, that amongst your counterparts, there's one guy who just suddenly leaps. And he leaped. And so a whole bunch of us who were in Rediff at the same time, we were all account directors. And we realized, and he was not really into, he was doing a whole host of other things, and he was not really into that usual path. And that, I think, pretty much sums up Rana. And I will quote from one of the things about Mad Men, that you stand apart. You were not born to blend in, you were born to stand apart. And those are the things I think that has really worked for him. And as I was thinking about what I'm going to say about him, there is of course a whole written piece that yes, he is arguably one of the youngest leaders in the industry today. He's leading the Havas group. He's Group CEO Havas. He has close to 2,000 people working in his group. He's got 15 different agencies. The rise has been meteoric. He's also doing a lot of work for the advertising industry. He's in most of the bodies. He is working for all the important aspects of awards and policy making and changes and sustainability for the advertising industry. So fantastic there. But I think one of the things that stands out for me as a woman professional, and that is also something that really got built up in my years at Rediffusion, was the fact that Rana continues to be pushing, and it is not a tokenism and it is not a lip service. He continues to be pushing the fact that he surrounded himself with women leaders. And it is not something that has happened to him. So there is a very interesting parallel between Sandeep and Rana. Both are sons of very established, accomplished women. Their wives have been professionals, their sisters, nieces, everybody in the family are strong professionals. And they've both had this strange similarity of being always pushing people only on meritocracy and not gender biasing. Sandeep didn't have it 20 years back whenever we worked with him. He never had it. I mean, it was always equality. Rana today is not doing it because it's a good thing to do. He's actually in the member of Unstereotype, the United Nations initiative, and he's really driving that. So I think as a woman professional, in the business, that's a big thing. And we need more men to be thinking like that, gender equality is a man's job as well as a woman's job. So that is a fantastic thing. And he continues to be passionate about a whole host of things that are just beyond the daily job. So that is the kind of introduction I can give you about Rana, because everybody will say, oh, he's done a lot about building brands and building businesses, etc. I'll let him do that talking. But this is something that stays with me. So, dear Rediffusion, I present Rana Barua.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandeep. This is overwhelming. There are people on the line. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you, Ms. Shavon, as Sandeep still calls you.
Young Shavon.
Young Shavon, as now. Mr. Gupta, thank you. Gupta ji, we all call him Gupta ji, or what do you all call him?
Whatever they plan.
Huh?
Gupta ji.
Okay, so I've got some points written and all, but what I have realized is that in places and forums and conversation points, if you go extempore and you speak the way you want to speak, so I think that's the best way. So I've actually jotted down some points, but I'm going to just flow with the motion, and anytime I stop and if you feel that I'm losing track, just tell me. Okay, but I think I'm completely overwhelmed to be here. For me, Rediffusion, Sandeep Goyal, they're the two biggest inspirations in my career, and I'm not, if anybody thinks that, at this age I will bullshit, you all know I will. So I will tell you how the journey started, so that you all know what happened and why, where I am, what I am. There are two names that got attached in my life. One was son of a bitch. I don't know whether you all know that. So in my life, when I went into contract, people used to call me son of a bitch. And the only reason they used to call that, because the only reason I used to exist in my life was to win. I'm a lunatic with new business. While Sandeep was talking and now offering me sandwiches, my team had just done a very big pitch in Delhi, and I was checking, how did it go? I learned it from him. I was a young guy in McCann, and he's right. They didn't want me. They wanted to hire Shavon. They were interviewing her. I was the one who was sitting outside, fiddling, trying to understand what should I do. And I was actually thinking .com was the way to go. I was excited with Reader.com because I used to like Reader.com. And like she said, I've always been breaking the rules. I've been breaking the curve. I actually will tell you also that how I kept doing that, and I will link it how Rediff then became an integral role. And Sandeep met me. I was heading a McCann new business. It was called McCann Erickson in those days, and I was heading, and I remembered an incident which he doesn't know about, so let me tell you about it. There was a very large 4-square pitch happening, and we were doing it in the Hyatt Hotel, I think. And I was leading the pitch with some very heavy names, Nikhil Nehru, Santosh Desai, Kaustav Niyog, and I thought we were going to win this pitch. And I walked into that hotel and I thought that we had everything taped up, because at the age of 28, I was taking on Sandeep, who was probably a few years senior to me then. I thought that how can Rediff win this pitch? And I walked into that entire conference room, and from the hallway to the conference room, I just saw computers after computers after computers after computers. This was, they had finished the pitch and we had just walked in. And I told Santosh and Nikhil that we are not winning this. Because in one computer the credentials were on, in one computer there was something on, in one computer there was a show reel on. I don't know whether you remember. So this was the whole conference room, and I kept looking. After that, when we went in for the pitch, of course we lost the pitch, so I don't want to belabor the point, because it was a no-brainer, because there were 4 people giving Gyan after what Rediffusion had just done. And I knew one thing, that I want to work in this agency. So I went like this, and I said, let me join Rediff.com, because if she is going there, I'll come to Rediff.com, then I will find my way back. Because, the mind works, even if you are 28, 29, doesn't matter. But I luckily met him, and I became the new business India head, and with Gupta ji at that
But
time.
all credit to founded Sona.
And coming to that, to one man, Connie. For us, it was good old Connie, and Connie, I tell Connie, why here? What about .com? So he said, no, you come, we'll work. And that's how the journey started. I think for me, that was the biggest disruptor, which kind of completely changed my life. It just changed the way I looked at it. And I don't know whether you all know that how we lived our life was, I used to live my life out of a suitcase. I used to walk in the morning and leave for Bangalore in the evening. So I used to walk in the morning and leave for Delhi in the afternoon. But we used to win. We were passionate. We used to love businesses, and we used to really, really work hard. And no matter what people thought about Sandeep at that time, no matter what people said about his aggressiveness, no matter what, I just saw one thing, that I just started picking up the strengths. I started picking up a pattern. I started picking up the way he went about pitches. I started picking about the meticulous way the thing used to work. That's Sandeep, and that was Rediffusion for us. Because after that, for many years, when Sandeep walked out, we kept trying, but naturally, Rediff was not the same anymore. But for us, Rediffusion was where, and for me definitely, and for many of us, there are many of us who keep talking, and we keep discussing, and we keep exchanging notes about those glorious years. I spent 5 years here, 2000 to 2005, and that was when my entire foundation of Rediffusion happened, and I started enjoying the way things used to work. And in fact, while I was speaking to Paulomi, and I suddenly remembered that we were truly integrated. And I was trying to remember that, what were those years? We were an integrated group of agencies, and if I'm not mistaken, after that, I think 2004 or 5, the entire kind of disintegration started happening. We had TNV, we had PR, we had sports, I think we had everything under the same sun at that time, and we used to all intersperse. We were all friends, there was PK from here, there was media, there was, the creative people. We used to all work with each other. It was probably the hotbed. And then slowly, the entire glorious years and everything, and we saw things started just moving slowly into different zones and all. And that's when I decided to kind of move out and start experimenting with things like Sharon was saying. I moved up completely. I went into radio. I just said, no, I can't work in a disintegrated agency, because for me, advertising and any kind of the group I run is an integrated agency. So I've got 14, 15 agencies. We work together. So I run the entire group, not in a silos, but I run it together. For me, naturally, when you look at the kind of work we did, the kind of businesses we win, so I'll spend some time on Rediffusion, and then I'll probably get into a bit of what I've learned and how I've adopted it. I think one of my biggest, I still remember winning a brand called Techie. For me, that was the highlight of a way we used to pitch, the way we used to win businesses. For me, those habits have not gone. Even if I lead a pitch, I recently led a pitch, of course we didn't win it. We went for Pepsi, and it was a very, very hard pitch which we lost to Newbonnett, which is fine, it's okay. You win some, you lose a lot, that doesn't matter. But the drill we did, the exercise we did, the kind of, 24/7, the everyday work, this was all the foundation that I had picked up in the world that we spent here. The kind of quality of work, I saw some work that Sandeep just showed me. It just started giving me goosebumps, because I suddenly realized that, ideas, conversations, things that we sometimes forget, slowly maybe coming back. You know, things that we are doing, if you all are doing here, it is an absolutely fabulous idea, because I think we have a fabulous opportunity at Rediffusion to start creating new conversations, start doing new things again, because it's known for that. You know, if Everest start doing something else, nobody's going to raise eyebrows, because you all are known for it. You know, when people from other groups are doing it, it's sometimes questionable because we don't know whether it's the right thing, or is it being done as a scam, are we doing it with this? But when you're creating something, and I see something that's going to come out very soon, it's very exciting stuff, and that is what Rediffusion is all about. That is the, you know, the legacy which in between actually lost a bit of its sheen, but if you're bringing it back, that's absolutely fantastic. I was asked, you know, what kind of, you know, what was working in Rediffusion. I don't know whether you all share the same, and you know, I'm sure that maybe it's not the same, but I'll tell you something that I have used it in my life, and you can't have a better entrepreneur like Sandeep. The group I run right now is actually owned by an entrepreneur. So Yannick is an entrepreneur, while he is the overall CEO, but he lets it run like an entrepreneur. And guess where I learned this? If Mr. Nanda was an entrepreneur, if Sandeep believes in an entrepreneur culture, I believe I'm an entrepreneur. I don't own an agency, I don't own an ecosystem, but I work like an entrepreneur. We take risks, we take our chances, we fail many times, we win many times, but it's fun. But the point is, are we taking risks? That's what we are doing. For a group which probably, you know, should not have existed at all, the group I run, which actually had no name, no fame, no reputation, nothing, today to become one of the strong contenders, one of the origins of success. So somebody asked me, you know, I was in NDTV recently, and you know, I was with Mr. Pranay Roy, and one of his people asked me, so what is the success? What did you do in the last 2 years? I said, I became an entrepreneur. I don't own this company, but I was allowed to lead this company like an entrepreneur. I started thinking, if it is my company, what will I do? If I'm going to shut down lights, if I'm going to do this. So every time you all have seen something or thinking of something, please understand, there is a mind at work, there are people at work who are actually working that extra bit harder to understand how to make things work for all of you or whatever. Because, you know, sometimes we feel, ye galat hai, ye sahi hai, this is not the way it should be done, this is not the way it should be done. But this is, sometimes it actually benefits, because some of these things that, you know, when you start thinking harder, you realize that, you know, there's a lot of hard work this profession needs. And that's something, again, we learned in this group, which is at Rediff. I look at Sandeep sometimes and I admire, you know, there are many conversations about him. The biggest thing I picked up from him is the work and the commitment and hard work that he still puts in. And you know, so any time when I hear that if Sandeep is in a pitch, or I get to know Sandeep is in a pitch, I just tell my team, don't even go that side, you know, he's going to destroy you all. So the point is that, you know, for me that ghost is not one of those, you remember those computers, it still stays. So maybe one day when I win against him, I will still feel that, you know, but not yet. Because when I see those, I still, those, can you imagine, I'm like 20 years I've gone post that pitch and still those things remain. But so, point I'm saying is that if you all start believing in this agency slowly and steadily as your own, which is difficult, I know, but start believing it as your own and start creating stuff on your own and start building ideas on your own. Imagine the kind of difference you can make. I'm telling you this from personal experience. When we used to work here, when we did things, a lot of things naturally didn't get accepted in other networks and agencies, which is why we had to change jobs. If we hadn't changed those jobs, we probably, because we wanted to do something on our own. You want to create something because there's a new event happening, you want to do something because there's some idea coming to you. That's what we started learning. And fortunately for me, those things have started working for me. When the world was going in a certain way, that this is how this world would go, you know, I would start thinking, what do I do next? Where do I go next? What is the new things should we do? How do we disrupt the system? What do we do? So I think a lot of these conversations keep happening for us. I get very enthused by the fact that, you know, I see, and I'm telling you honestly, a lot of advertising people who make fun of advertising, I completely get pissed off. I've spent 25 years in this industry. This is my alma mater. Rediff is my alma mater. These are names. And I get amazed that when people kind of say that advertising ka koi future nahi hai, media ka koi future nahi hai. I don't understand it. After spending 30 years, 35 years, if people say like that, I have full faith. I think we have a long way to go. I was asking people about some numbers that day, and I was trying to figure out that, digital media, TV is not dying, print is not dying. Digital is naturally shaping up well, so I'm not getting into that conversation, but I'm just saying there is a full-fledged ecosystem which is there for the world of advertising. So if you believe that, oh, this is happening and ye nahi hoga and OTT is the future and this, yes, of course, we will all live in an ecosystem together. But advertising is going nowhere. Our job is going nowhere. We are communication experts. We are idea experts. Maybe certain channels have changed. Maybe certain new things have changed. But they are not going to replace us, and AI is not going to take over. So if anybody says data is the new coin, yes, data is good. But the idea is king. It is the idea which is still going to manifest, and data is going to support. So for us, if you enjoy your job and you start enjoying what you're doing, I think that's the first thing that you need to understand, that that's where I started enjoying. I actually had taken a call whether I should get out of this profession completely when people were. So I really thought television is the future, but that's not the case. I think one of the best things is to be sticking to where we are and what we are doing. The question, like they say that, what is something that you believe that probably helps you stay ahead of the curve? And I'm sure you all have heard many people and all, and you would have probably got many points of view. I think one of the big things that I picked up in this profession, and definitely that was a big change that I got with Rediffusion, and definitely working with Sandeep, was to really win something against Sandeep, you need to have a challenger architect. He is going to push you, and that's what I picked up from him. So there's Naz who works with me. Naz knows how I work in the ecosystem. I just picked that habit. I push people, and when a person pushes me back with his idea or a thought and everything, that's when the entire thing starts working. So the idea that I picked up here was that how do you build a challenge archetype for yourself? How do you become so clear in your head that I'm going to create a different kind of a conversation point, which I will support with some facts, I will support with figures, I'll be able to kind of convince people and all. Please don't bullshit. That's my only request. Because it's today's world, we pick up people easily about anybody who comes to the room, clears his throat and starts speaking, we know this person is going to now talk complete rubbish. The point what we try and see is that because the mediums and advertising has become very important, and this is something we picked up, that post-pandemic, the clients have become, at least the clients who mean business, they become very serious about their business, far more serious than they were before. Because I handle also media, I can also tell you that they've become very finicky about how media is being spent. Gone are the days of thinking that ideal is the only way of winning business or doing everything. So, there is a super opportunity for us to work closely with our clients and start creating some differentiated ideas, create some stuff which makes it very special for the clients, and they want it. And the more time you spend with your clients, the more time you start becoming partners with clients, you will realize that, this entire fallacy that people say, I think we've all gone through. That client aisa hai, client waisa hai, wo hoga, zarur hoga, but please understand, there is a sheer pressure on their ROI and their numbers. If you start respecting your clients genuinely, and I'm saying this, one of the things that I keep telling my entire team and my entire people and all, don't brush off the clients pehle. First, pehle brush off mat karo. Wo aisa hai, wo this. Hang on. I have a very tough client who's an owner of a company. He keeps calling me directly because every time there's a problem, and it's a very large company, he's the owner. Now, either you go against him and say that he doesn't understand, or you say that there's a reason he gave you the business, so I'm going to support him. So then you go around with the entire team and say that, no, we've got to support him and make him understand how a communication agency works. But let's help him. Let's just not take a fight. The point I'm trying to drive to is that times have changed. We have to change. I have changed. I'm just not standing here because I am the same guy who joined Rediff and saw a lovely word and I thought that is it. She's right. Most of my peers have dropped off. I don't have too many friends in this industry of my age. I talk less because I don't have too many friends. If I talk too much, then I'll have to figure out who do I speak with. Because for me, it was always I had to keep reinventing myself. You have to be relevant. I had to be relevant. Even today, when I go out after this and I go into some other conversation or forum, Either it will be a client call, or it will be an internal review, or it will be something, because I need to stay relevant. I enjoy this profession, I enjoy what I'm doing, and I think that we must take ourselves a bit more seriously and not make it into one casual joke. I think in between, and I'm sure Sandeep would have seen it, Shavan has seen it, Tanya has seen it, that this entire industry went, like every other movie industry, entertainment industry, we just made it into a little bit of a joke. And you know what happened after that. The numbers fell, the fees fell, the pitches became a joke. When I sit in forums and I talk, we talk about talent drain. We did it. We did it. Why are we blaming the industry? The talent drain happened because we couldn't retain the talent, we couldn't pay them well. And now we blame the industry for doing so. Earlier, if I'm not mistaken, all the best colleges used to attract advertising, all these media people. If you look at their famous degrees, they all came from the best colleges. What happened to that industry? So the job is for us, and I don't know how many of you all believe in it. If you all don't, then please at least try. I've got straight 10, 15 odd years hopefully in this industry, and my entire commitment that I've taken is to keep working as much as possible because I love this industry. I think there's fabulous talent left. There's fantastic people who are working, and if we keep really pushing ourselves, we'll be able to get our respect back. People, that day somebody from Economic Times asked me, what about fees and all? I said, we've let procurement take over. We've let procurement take over. The brand managers, the marketing heads don't talk. If you go into a negotiation, the procurement guy will say, this is how much, this is how much. We let them talk. If you go push yourself to the marketing head and say, listen, this is not going to happen. But how many people will talk like that? I talk. I've lost businesses because of that, because I can't afford to have people. If you are going to go down to the procurement people, I will not do it. But you will lose some battles. The point is that we need to start pushing back. But first and foremost, you need to believe in advertising, in communication, in the job we do. I think there is a massive, massive opportunity that we have, which people are just brushing off. There are many networks I know, there are many units which I know, they're working in a certain way. There are some, and guess what? Let me also be brutally honest. I was telling somebody that how large is my group? I'm the 5th largest network. I'm probably the last in the Indian ecosystem. I don't compete with anyone. I don't compete with Group M. I don't compete with Ogilvy. I don't compete with WP. I'm a WPP more or less lifer, except few years with IPG. I'm a WPP lifer. I'm never going to fight with WP. It's not my headache. My job is to make a progressive agency, an agency that's ready, which will have a lot of people working. Today it's 2,000, tomorrow it will be 4,000. People who are proud of that job, happy in advertising, feel like working for an agency or a network. At least even if they walk out, they'll feel happy. Tomorrow if they come and join Rediffusion, they should walk in and say, you know what, that's their office in that's Havas, but great place to work. You need to build that kind of a culture. So I spent a lot of time in building culture because I think we need to get that energy back. Where did I learn that? Rediffusion. She said 5 years of some of her best years. Yes, it was. It was 5 years. We had table tennis matches. I will lie to you that I used to defeat PK. If ever PK comes, unko bata dena. I said that. He used to thrash the daylights out of me. I don't know whether you all know Prashant Kumar. He's the CEO of Group. So every time we meet, I tell him, PK, tu to zero mein haarta tha. Bolta abhi aa ja tennis. We used to have tennis TT matches starting at 7 in the evening.
After Sandeep left.
After Sandeep, yeah. After Sandeep left, the TT matches used to start. Where's Sundar? Sundar's Maggie used to start. Sundar is around. So anyways, his Maggie used to start. हमारे शाम को वहाँ इतना हल्ला होता था, आपको याद है? Snooker and some. But that's the culture. That's life. मतलब you need to slowly ensure that that's what we enjoy. So I think something that we are trying to build back. So you see a very serious facade. Sandeep passed me a message that day. Why are you so serious? I learned it from him. How do I laugh? I don't know how to laugh because if you look at Sandeep, he never laughs. It's only, and then look at my dress combo. I didn't know he's wearing this. I'm influenced by him. You have to win. You have to win. Now if he's pushing all of you, it is because I do the same. I push. People have given up in my office. My point is very simple. Maza nahi aa raha hai, then I'm not saying, but go ahead and lift. So, but the point is that this is not charity. We have to win. We have to work hard. We have to play hard. We have to enjoy what we are doing. But first and foremost, we have to believe in ourselves. If you just think it's just a job you're doing, naukri hai, isliye chalte naukri mein, then you're never going to have good work, you'll never win any business. The client will always complain. You will just hop from one job to the other job. Because in other job you will go and say, वो बहुत बेकार जगह था. That job you will six months, you will say ये भी बेकार जगह है. Then you will hop. Just stop for a minute. Like I said, wear the entrepreneur hat. Just think of Rediffusion for 1 month as your own agency. Just try it and see the difference you will make. Suddenly everything will be nice. The sofa will be nice. The color of the wall will be nice. You'll start respecting where you're working, and you'll start creating some stuff because you'll say, let me try. When is the last time anybody from this group has felt that why can't we create something spectacular for you? Let's go win something. Not only clients, let's win an award. Let's win something. Let's do something proactive. It's just in the mind. It's a difficult one, I understand, but that's where the shift has happened, and that's the change I brought into myself. And I'm just saying from a personal experience, I could have easily gelled into this crowd and been part of one of these large networks that won or should have just gone. I went and took on a network which was lowest in the peg. And I remember when my last interview was happening with the chairman of the group in Paris, he said, do you think you can make it? So I knew that there were only 3 years to do it because that's the average age. If you don't do it, I would have had to walk. Today we've reached a stage where not only you're a group of a certain size and stature, you're certainly looking at a much larger gambit, much larger ecosystem, and many things to do. So before I kind of sign off, I'll just tell you a few points. Don't take it as wisdom. I'm sharing some of the things because I'm here with my own family. This is Rediffusion for me. I normally won't say what I believe in so much as much I'm saying. And some of the points I probably have said, but this is straight from my heart. Like I said, I'm going completely extempore. So first and foremost, one of the big philosophies I completely led my life, personal life, my own family life, and my own professional life is I believe in these 3 words: innovate, excel, disrupt. This is my vision every year. So every time everybody says, what's your vision for 2021? Innovate, excel, disrupt. So 2021 khatam ho gaya, sab bola ke 2022. I said innovate, excel, disrupt. So I know there are a lot of my friends and followers in my ecosystem, in my Havas group, who must be saying kya pagal hai. Because for me, innovate, excel, disrupt is an ongoing process. What are you going to innovate? What are you going to excel in? And what are you going to disrupt? Try playing the game, try playing your life with these 3 words. You'll understand. You want to innovate yourself personally, you want to look better, you can excel in something, you can excel in a language, you can disrupt something, you can start playing a new game, or you completely give up on alcohol, don't do that. But I'm just saying that, but you need to do something. How will you stand up? What have you changed? If you haven't changed yourself, if you look the same, Gupta ji said, you're same. Because I keep innovating, Gupta ji. I keep excelling, I keep exercising, I keep disrupting the ecosystem. So that's the part. Try it. 3 words: innovate, excel, disrupt. Personal life, professional life. The second point is, please play to win. Don't walk in droopy shoulders, then don't come to office. Don't go home then. Play to win. You may lose, but start by being the point that we'll win. If I had to go and get into a group where I knew that I'm not going to make it happen, where all the Goliaths are sitting, I wouldn't have joined. The idea was, let's try it, let's give it a shot. At best, क्या होगा? नहीं हुआ, ठीक है. But play to win. You must win. Then you see the result. You'll lose few, but you'll start winning because you'll start enjoying that thing. That I'm winning, and it's just not business. I'm saying. Win friends, win your colleagues, but do something that starts making this a better place, and you all start enjoying your life. My third one is, this is something very personal. I'm saying give back to the society, give back to industry, give back to the people. There are many seniors here, I'm sure. Try and give back something. Do your own little coaching, do your own little classes, do something that you start enjoying where you feel that people are learning from you. I do a lot of personal mentoring. I'm not supposed to do, but I do a lot of personal mentoring. I have a small little thing which I gave back because I was influenced by a certain thing which I had seen much earlier in my year. So I have a program called Spark, which was completely my brainchild, where I take interns with 1 or 2 years of experience who are postgrads or graduates, and we make them go through a 6-month training in any profile. It can be programmatic, it can be design, it can be media, it can be health, it can be creative, it can be sports and entertainment, it can be under showbiz. But these 26 people or 16 people, batch number 1 had 16 people, batch number 2 has 26 people. All 26 people work across all disciplines, but they choose the profession they want to do. And after the 6 months, they go through a rigorous, an entire management committee, my entire Mancom sits with me, we all go through that entire thing, and they get absorbed by us. This is something which I strongly believe is one way of bringing back talent, instead of saying there is a talent drain and everything. And these are very, very bright children, bright people. They are maybe 23 years old, 24, 25, some of them are very, very bright. Some of them are working on e-commerce, somebody is in marketplace, somebody is working in marketing, somebody is in corporate communications. They're phenomenal with social media, they're phenomenal with e-commerce, they understand Amazon just like that. And they're amazingly bright people who we probably wouldn't have known, and we would have generally said there's a talent in. So there's something, you must think how we can make it more exciting for these kind of people. The third one is, I don't know whether I'm allowed to say it, but at one time there was a poster in front of Sandeep's office, I remember, the spinal cord, and it used to say, best alone, better together. I know it is somebody else's line, but I use it everywhere. And in fact, our group hashtag is better together, which is whenever Havas group puts out anything, it says hashtag better together. Because I have 15 set of companies, I've got so many people, I think the only way it can work is when we work together. But it's best alone, better together is a philosophy which has stayed with me. This is a Rediff learning. We used to all work together. We used to walk into each other's cabins. I used to go straight into the media thing. I remember the PR teams used to sit in between. It was like everybody could walk into anybody's cabin, could walk in anywhere. In a way, I've built some kind of an ecosystem. If you ever visit the Havas group, I would love to show you how much influence that has stayed with me. People just float in, float out, float in, float out. There are no silos. We don't build walls, we don't build boundaries. Everybody has to. So that philosophy stayed with me. And it continues because, like I said, I've been so shameless that I'm actually using the hashtag better together. And it continues to be my hashtag. The other thing for me has been very, very important is please keep on with the process of learning, keep on with the process of listening. I think over the years I have become a much better listener. Also because your position demands you to be, you can't keep talking. But it started helping me a lot because I'm picking up a lot of new ideas and conversations. Recently I launched an agency called Cake. It's because in the last 1 year I was hearing a lot about sports entertainment culture. So I went ahead, I went to UK, I sat with them, they have an agency and it's actually a creative agency which specializes in sports entertainment. I was listening, I was picking up from my clients. I was listening to Geo of Speak, I spoke to Tata, I spoke to many of our clients, and everybody's saying, if you have anything in this world, understanding how to understand entertainment, how to understand sports. So I think one of the things, if you can understand, is that if you keep listening to your clients and all, it's something you pick up very much. The other thing that for me, and something that I'll share with you personally, is that please, before you pass any judgment about people or your friends or your seniors or colleagues, just stop for a second. One of the biggest learnings I've had for myself is that I was just telling Sandeep, maybe 1 or 2 people I'm not in touch with, or my seniors, but I'm in touch with everybody. I keep in track with everyone. I keep talking to everybody. I keep asking questions still with everybody. Sometimes when I get stuck, I go to them and I ask them, what do you think we should do? So my question and my challenge to you is that if you have friends and colleagues and you all feel like talking, please reach out to them, talk to them, because very soon you'll find you'll become very lonely. And then it's not the best zone to be. So if you all are fighting any kind of challenges or any kind of issues that you face, keep talking to people. All of us are there in the market. There are many people. I just met a lot of people who I met what, after 2004? 2004. So I'm saying that, many of us have just lost track. The other day I met Gaurav Raju, who's, and suddenly he came to my office, and yesterday I heard about Suresh Balaji. So, it's like, it's the entire gang starts reaching out to talk to you, talk to yourself. Just reach out to your friends, speak a lot more, and you'll find that there are lots of stuff that's happening that you'll start picking up. A lot of learnings over the last few years, things which are definitely come post the pandemic for me, something that I thought will be nice to share. But thank you for your time. I hope I've not bored you. Some of these are naturally sounds very philosophical for all of you, but remember, I'm not that old. These are learnings, these are real-time learnings for me. I have a 26-year-old and a 16-year-old, so you can understand that a lot of learnings are also happening from 2 generations of boys in my house. Somebody who is naturally more like a friend and somebody who's in grade 11. So a lot of conversation that I'm saying this is from personal experience, a lot from work, a lot from personal life, and a lot that I've learned in Rediffusion. So thank you everyone for your time. Thank you Sandeep, thank you Tani. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here.
Thank you, Rana. That was really a lot of learnings, great learning, especially innovate, excel, and disrupt. I was very impressed with your efforts for gender equality and commitment towards playing to win. Also about believing in ourselves and the agency that we work in, and the benefit of spending time with clients and building relationships. Best alone, better together. So, friends, I'd like you to ask questions. I'm sure you have some, so go ahead.
You can ask questions in anything. You don't have to if there's anything that you generally want to ask, feel free. Gupta ji, aap.
पानी ने बढ़ता है क्या? नहीं भाई, it was a great time.
Thank you.
It was a great. But I'm more than that. I am actually amazed that your wife only said you actually took a leap. Tell us something about it. Tell us something about how you started.
So I'll tell you, which is where I think one of the things that I didn't want to mention because you'll find very boring and all, but I don't know how many of you all have the gut to take this. Okay, so my point is that either you can keep it very comfortable. So I quit this entire industry because it got disintegrated. Around 2005 or 6 is when the world completely disintegrated and when I say disintegrated means creative became separate, media became separate, everything. I don't know whether you all were part of it. If anybody remembers 2005, 2006, the agency became completely different and all. And for me it was absolutely the nemesis of advertising because I can't work. So I quit and I went to radio. And I thought radio would be the most exciting medium and I started it from scratch. I got a very good break. I became head of marketing of a channel called Radio City. But I had to completely reinvent myself at the age of 35. I had to learn the entire medium. I had to understand media. I had to understand numbers, reach, OTS. I just couldn't understand anything for the first 6 months. But then I stayed for 7 years in radio. When I left radio, I was CEO of Rediffusion. And naturally, I had made a certain kind of a mark for myself because I started working. But my only big learning in this has been that you have to take a risk. It's not even calculated. It's a risk that you are very clear may backfire on you also. But if you really sweat it out, it will work. Even now, I know of conversations which happens within the boardroom when I present. Is that why do you want to get into this zone when you're so comfortable? My point is that I am not the kind who likes to be comfortable. I like to push myself a bit more. I push my team, and I know in that bargain there are out of 100 people who work with me or the 20 odd people who directly report to me, 16 will survive, 4 will leave. It's okay, I'm okay about that. But the point is that I personally push myself a lot more than the industry means, I believe does, and I kind of,
No, but still it does not answer my question. एक टर्न क्या था? एक मोड़
I think for me, I'm telling you now, for me the 7 years in radio was the big change. It completely changed me as a person. Because when I came back to advertising, after that, I was a completely different human. Because when I was sitting in forums or conversations or even talking to my friends and peers, I realized that they were far behind. They just didn't understand conversation, medium. Because you got exposed. See, as if you are suddenly head of marketing at the age of 34, 35, managing, you had to do events, PR, media, television, you are doing everything. So the entire world changes for you, and after that, running an agency seems much easier, which is not the truth because come back, you start winning. For me, this entire building this ecosystem is one of the learnings that I saw in Rediffusion, because if you remember, Rediff had all these conversation points in the same floor. Then if you go out and suddenly manage a much larger conversation and you start working, and then you start picking all the learnings and putting it back.
Can you tell us about your wins? You talked about winning clients. Can you tell us about any particular client and the win and how it happened?
So Rediffusion one I told you I can spend some time, but Rediffusion for me one of the biggest wins was Tetley, because I think that was
The longest pitches.
it was one of the longest pitches. My biggest win in my career, which I am personally proud, which I had led, was a win that I won in contract which turned around the fortune of contract after the year one was Docomo. It was a 7-agency pitch. I remember I had taken over contract in 2013 March, and the people who I used to report into, there was a gentleman called Colvin and Michael Madel, and they had given me 12 months to turn around contract. Otherwise, they wanted to integrate contract into AWT. That was a conversation with the global team. So I knew I had 12 months. Otherwise, I would become part of AWT. It's not like you would lose your job. It's just that contract would cease to exist. But then I took on Tata Docomo, and we won Tata Docomo, for which for me was, at that time, was the largest pitch which I personally led. So for me, Tetley stands out as a very big win for me. Of course, then it went into a lot of issues and challenges after we won the business, because I think they changed the strategy twice. We had a certain direction, then the direction changed again, but that's a separate conversation. But I think that was one of the most hardwired, laborious pitches, and Sandeep himself led that. Because when we had gone to the pitch in the Calcutta office, I don't know, it was some 14-15 of us in the morning. We had all stayed at Tolly Club and we went in the morning. It was till the last drill we had done. Kaun kya bolega, kaun kaha baithega, all those were the kind of conversation that. And then in today's world, if you see all of this, you find it very painful. I've seen when I do some of these now, people find me very painful. I don't understand why, because if you don't do it, you're not going to win it. You don't win it. I'm telling you, don't win it. We've had pitches where, two people are talking to different. The client asks a question, suddenly 3 of them start answering. You don't do it. You must know who's going to answer this question. What is the business challenges? Do you see the positioning? Are you convinced with this idea and your positioning? Suddenly, no, you see that this positioning is not. Hello, why are you talking? You don't win it. So point is that some of these hardwired pitches that we have won, and there are many. I'm just giving you one Tetley example. Like I said, there were many pitches that we won. We used to just win. And at that time, we couldn't lose, because, the entire business plan that we had was that how many pitches can you win? And that was the winning streak that I've had. Otherwise, why would people in contract call me son of a pitch? Because we used to, I mean, it's not a great name, but, I remember my planning guy, who, Rohit Srivastava, in front of a town hall, he said, and it was my birthday, he said, to the son of a pitch, I said, what is this name? He said, it's your new name. But the point is that I love pitches. I used to love, I still like, I reduced my pitching because I go into only the key ones. I led one for media recently, we won that for Domino's. So that was the pitch we won. We won some more new pitches, but then I reduced it, but I think the drive that we do, like the Spetchley one, I was personally aghast that we lost it, but that I led. I did the drills, I did the runs, including, where should the name card be placed to everything. I do it. I do everything. I check the lights, I do everything. So I think that's something which, is something either it's ingrained in you or you don't do. It's not like I say, if you just take your business a bit more seriously, you're going to really realize that what a big difference we are making to our clients' lives. We just take it so lightly, which is what completely upsets me. People just think, it's a party going on. Actually, the clients really depend on us. If you sit with the client sometimes and talk, I was recently in Delhi and one of our clients is Reckitt, and the CEO was telling me some serious stuff about his business going down. He's asking for solutions. He's generally not telling you some issues. So you have to sit and understand his business and say that, okay, let me see how I can help. Do I have a solution? If you don't have a solution, can I provide him something else? Can I create something for him?
Thank you.
So you spoke about a very interesting concept of building a challenge architect. So how do you see building a challenge architecture nowadays through your own experiences?
Challenger architect?
Yeah, challenge architect.
As in a human or where? What?
In businesses. Like,
No, so I think, see, that's what I'm saying, that, the idea is that if you're happy with what you produce, or if you create something and you're very happy with the first thing, then it's boring. I think in our business they say that Pala idea is the best idea. That's bullshit. Don't go by that. See your idea, crush it, and say, where is this? Give me another idea. It's not that your idea is getting trashed. Challenge it. The best thing is the herd community that we have. Everywhere. India mein the best, you see a car park. That day in Delhi I was going towards Gurgaon and I was coming from the NDTV office. अपना वो सर्विस लेन में आग लग गया. Some car. Line से सब cars were standing, सब खड़े होकर देख रहे, फोटो उठा रहे. I said, what is this? मतलब is this? If you see sometimes in the expressway the truck stops, a car will come in. The herd, you need to get out. आप challenge करो, देखो. You'll see how it will happen. And my point is where the client's hat. I always wear the client's hat and say, ये पसंद नहीं आएगा. So if you're wearing that hat and you know that, go for a pitch and you say, alright, we got the idea. Just tell yourself or ask somebody in your people, say you're going to lose. That's the challenge. And then if you don't win, don't lose, at least you challenge it. Because the point is, I think we sometimes get too confident with our approach, and that's where the problem is. And I'm a challenger brand, I'm sorry. I'm personally a challenger brand, my group is a challenger brand. I've not had the privilege of working in the #1 agency or running the best group agency where I can sit at the top and tell you that, you need to just consolidate and just make things better. No, I can't. I don't have time for consolidation, I don't have time. I have to keep reinventing, I have to keep challenging. But I'm not playing that battle, like I said. I'm not taking them on their turf, I'm not going on their turf. I know I'm going to lose in front of them. So I'm not, but my point is my DNA has to be a challenger. I'm not going to be suddenly sitting. So if you walk into my offices in the 3 or 4 cities that is there, I'm not going to find people generally enjoying themselves. There is a purpose. If there is not a purpose, then there is a problem. So I've had very senior people join. Very, very, very senior people join, no names. Come in 6 months they've said, this culture doesn't suit us. I have said, okay. So when my CHRO comes and says, 6 months, Rana, it's not going to go, I said, okay, let him go. Because I'm not going to be sitting and saying, please take another 1 year to settle in. You don't have time. We are a challenger thing, we don't behave like that. But you have to understand it's not going to be easy. It's a growing organization.
Pramod.
So who's your best friend in the agency, a planner or a creative?
The CFO. No. The CFO lets me sleep well. No. So, if I don't mention Bobby will kill me. So I'll tell you what. So while I'm a very hardwired business suit, I'm very, very hardwired into numbers, and don't ask me where I learned. I'm not saying anything. I didn't say anything.
It seems like your fault.
So,
मेरी गलती है.
but so so I'm very hardwired, but I'll tell you what I like is I'm a bit of a creative suit, so I tend a bit towards creative. So for me, planners are a must-have. Planners, and especially if they're sharp enough to give us the thread, because most planners are creative people, and vice versa. A lot of creative are planners. The point I'm trying to say is that end of the day, for me, the product is the important thing. So you may have a great whatever, because the work sucks. So for me, I really push the creative people. My point is that when you see something or you watch something, I think that's where we all get excited about it. So I'm not ruling down somebody. I think it's a very important part of the machinery. But for me, I think even business people can have thoughts and ideas. So I think I would definitely push the creative people to do better.
Jaman, you have a question?
You have a question? You ask.
No, I am going to say something and I can only ask.
Follow me, you have a question.
I think when you spoke about the integration concept, don't you? And you said you want to get back to that, that's where you're looking at it. I really think, a lot of us have grown in that integration world. I think you definitely had a lot of team building, team spirit and passion. So is that something that you felt lacking?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so even if people are sitting differently, I think think all of us need to bring it back. Because
Absolutely.
when I wore the
I'm
advertiser
a big
hat,
believer.
we
I'm
definitely saw the
absolutely
plan.
following. Big believer of integration. You may have individual expertise. I'm not questioning the expertise. I'm not saying that a suit can wear a media hat or a media hat can wear a creative hat. You have the expertise, but you have to be sitting together because the client is one. The client is one. So while we have, see again, it's us who've done it. Somebody has done it. Let's not get into who's done it. Somebody did it for the advantage of making more numbers and money, which is fine. But if you're not together, how are you going to solve it? I still don't understand. We go into meetings. Okay, so I'll give you an idea. A lot of you are doing social media here. Yes? So a lot of people go and do social media campaigns and ideas. Guess what? The client just throws it out the window. So the guys come back and I sometimes walk the corridor, they say, I don't think they're going to retain the business. Because the social media campaign that they're doing, they don't even know where the client is going to run it. The client is saying, why didn't you ask? But the client never briefed them. Did the team ask? They never asked. They went with stuff which the media agency has given something else. So I'm saying that this will continue. This will continue. It's, you know, you may tell your team to ask questions like, did you ask for the media plan? Did you ask for this? Nobody asked. Who asked? Which account management person in today's world will go and say, who's your media agency? Make me part of that briefing. We used to. Even now when there is a briefing for a large business pitch, I tell the client I want to be part of a common briefing format. Don't tell me that it's a media pitch separate. Yes, separate. Or share the media pitch. You may not, don't call Havas media, I'm fine. But share me what you are going to do.
Yeah, because when I wore the advertiser hat for many years, in fact, and I am now part of the Advertisers Society too.
Absolutely.
Everyone, the advertisers' bane of contention is that
It's
now,
absolutely.
and that's where I think that's where agencies really
So we are
come
trying.
together.
I'm not saying we got it right, but I'm just saying we are trying. We, globally at least the model is definitely far more integrated. India is far more integrated. We are actually seen as a success story because we started. The first time Group CEO was me, so I was brought in to get the group together. So we've come together, and luckily, most of the group agencies work together. When I say work together, means I have a CIO who works across all groups. We have a reporting system which we call it as Route 66, where numbers get reported globally to how many business have you won together, what did the media play a role, did social play a role, did this one consumer experience. So we've seen a lot of success in the last year because businesses are coming. So a branding design picks up something, goes into health, somebody something. So, but is it a foolproof model? No, because clients still enjoy a bit of hedging between agencies. They like to have 5 or 6 agencies so they can play around.
You spoke about sports entertainment.
Yeah.
So how is it different from sports as an entity and entertainment as an entity?
So sports entertainment culture, because we realize it's because it's one thing. If you look at the 3 threads, it's absolutely what shows India. So sports entertainment culture. So sports is going to can be any form of sports. For example, if somebody wants to get into, if East Bengal wants to talk to us to understand how to do better communication and branding, or if Coco wants to do something, or squash wants to come in a bigger way. Entertainment can be anything from movies to art to anything which can be in any form. And culture is anything which is absolutely different. If somebody, like for example, the entire concept of telecom is culture. How do you make people get used to 5G? Is the conversation that Kate did very well for UK. They actually launched 5G in UK many years back. So one of the big conversations is that how did they make it as part of their fabric and all. So it depends on whether we can do it or not. Whether we have the learnings, India doesn't have learnings, but we'll see how we can make it happen.
Interesting.
No, before that I have the pleasant task of thanking young Rana Barua. He's still young Rana Barua, please remember that. So I used to have a professor, and every time I met him, he'd have one standard line, कि आप ही बच्चे मेरी इन्वेस्टमेंट हो, आप ही मेरी सक्सेस हो. मुझे कभी समझ में नहीं आता रहा यार कि प्रोफेसर क्या बोलता है. अभी क्या हो गया, मेरे को क्या लग रहा है, नाउ एट माय राइट ओल्ड एज मैं वो प्रोफेसर बन गया हूँ. तो ये मेरी इन्वेस्टमेंट है, ये मेरा प्रॉफिट है, राइट. तो मैं लास्ट वीक आई मेट Partha. So one of the guests we are going to soon have is a gentleman called Partha Sinha. Partha was first job out of IIM Ahmedabad, was Rediffusion. He is now the president of Times of India. Last night I was having a chat with one of his best friends. He kept mentioning a guy called PK Prashant Kumar. Started here as a trainee. Is now the president of Group M. Controls what, 50,000 crores of
practically the entire industry.
Yeah. 50,000 crores of media. We are going to also have Anupriya Acharya, who was again in media over here, and she is the current president of the Advertising Agencies Association of India. We also mentioned young lady we both worked with called Apurva Purohit. Again, first job out of IIM Bangalore was Rediffusion. He mentioned in passing a gentleman called Bobby Pawar, again an alumnus of Rediffusion. So Rediffusion का जो profit कह लो, dividend कह लो, investment कह लो, is all these luminaries who now head all these big companies. So his former boss, gentleman called Vishnu Mohan, who again did phenomenally well on the international, scene. We had another young boy over here many years ago called Shri Ram, who went on to head Starcom in Asia, globally or whatever. I had the pleasure of spending a fabulous evening in London with one of the finest minds this agency has had called Harjot Singh. We've in fact written an ad on him, right? So this is our dividend. And I'm very happy that we are celebrating the 50 years of Rediffusion by inviting all these great minds, great leaders. They are the future of the industry, and we can at least be justifiably proud of the fact that the future of the industry came from Rediffusion. I normally use this forum also to make a couple of announcements. Last time I told you of all the big wins we had over the last, few weeks before that. Tomorrow is going to be a special day. We have them connected today, but tomorrow Tanya and I head out to Bangalore to perform the puja of our first Everest office in its new avatar in Bangalore. So for those of you who don't know, we've decided to kind of reconfigure the Everest offering in its 75th year. Everest was a very successful agency, and I think after 75 years it needs to kind of go through a new avatar. So starting 15th August, Everest will be a digital first agency. So we have a large team which has joined there under Rahul Vengalil. He's leading that entire effort, and we already have over a dozen clients now with Everest. So from 15th August, Everest will no longer be a mainline agency, they will be a digital first agency, and that will be the new avatar of Everest, right? We're doing some very interesting work which I showed him downstairs. It's time to tell all of you all the wonderful work that Viru and his team downstairs has been doing. We've created a absolutely top of the line font called Bharat to coincide with 75 years of Indian independence and 75 years of Everest. So a big round of applause for Viru. We have a very interesting, very important sponsor on that, but that I'm not going to publicly announce right now, but we have a global sponsor in it, and we're going to have possibly one of India's biggest doyens actually release the font. So lots of interesting work happening there. There's a second project, again, work done by Viru and team, and Tanya is taking it forward to celebrate 75 years of Everest. तो बैठे यार आराम से मैं 2 मिनट और बोलूँ ज़्यादा नहीं, but to celebrate 75 years of Everest, we have invited 75 of India's top painters to paint 75 plates for us, right? And some of the plates have started coming back, painted, and they're looking fabulous. Sponsor on that, Kansai Narolac, sponsor on that, Sham Steel, sponsor on that, Taj Hotels. So it also feels good that our clients are joining us in some of these efforts, right? And you know already,
Narolac was an Everest
well, I met
client.
Palomi at Narolac. She was Everest. I was client at Narolac. That was way back in 1984, much before most of you in this room were born. At Rediffusion, all of you are familiar. Pramod has been creating this absolutely fabulous line of ads with some of our high performers who have gone through the portals of Rediffusion. You have 2 more candidates here, don't let them go, right? And happily I'm getting all of them to sign plates. So we're going to have the office full of plates of all of our luminaries. So today you're going to have to sign a plate which we are going to keep, right? The second interesting thing, of course, has been this series of very special people that we are inviting. And there's going to be a longer list of those guys coming in. We've got yet another 9 months for this year, and there's nothing to stop us from continuing this series. So I hope all of you are enjoying this series. I hope you enjoy the visits of all of these very, very successful, rediffusionists. And I'm going to close by telling you, I'm increasingly being asked this question that why did you come back to Rediffusion? I don't know how many of you know, but I had happily sold Dentsu, by the grace of God, made a lot of money. And there was really no reason to come back to advertising, and more importantly to come back to Rediffusion. So I'm going to say 2 things actually. I was actually in advertising and yet not in advertising for almost 9-10 years, because I was under strict non-compete after I left Dentsu, and I could not be in advertising. So I was in a new business which I created called mobile advertising, which was not covered under my non-compete. So I was in advertising, but I was really not doing advertisement. Meeting her at PhD selling, mobile advertising. Interesting business. We created a completely new silo, a new complete genre in terms of what we were doing. But I kept missing advertising. Now missing advertising is मेरा प्रमोद के साथ झगड़ा हो रहा है phone के ऊपर. I was half a kilometer from here and he sent me some stuff and I said ये ठीक नहीं है यार. That joy of interaction is what I hope all of you should start to enjoy at this stage of your careers. Because you are creating something. Very few people in their lives actually create something. But I am known to have told a client one day in a meeting, she kept saying something and I told her, the difference between you and me. She said, what? I said, I create things. What you need to be, all of you need to be very proud of is the fact that you create stuff, boss. Creating stuff is not easy. The fun of advertising, forget everything else, is the joy of creating something. When I first joined advertising, my wife used to wonder कि करता क्या है. So when अखबार आता था ना, I used to pounce at the newspaper and come look and say, अरे हमारी ad आ गई, अरे 3 नंबर लगा हुआ है. मेरे को बड़ी शांति होती थी. Now the day you have that experience कि मैं advertising देखूंगा और मुझे बड़ी शांति होगी ना, then you know you're an advertising man. Yes, no?
Absolutely.
Right? The second major announcement I'm going to make, unfortunately, Ashish Malhotra is not here. We are launching a new agency. The agency is called Next by Rediffusion. It's not Rediffusion Next. It is Next by Rediffusion. Ashish Malhotra, who till very recently was with Dentsu McGarry Bowen, and again is a Rediffusion alumnus, is back at Rediffusion to head this new agency. What is this new agency going to do? It is going to look at startups, it's going to look at fintech, it's going to look at edtech, look at e-commerce, look at all of these new businesses. And this is one agency where we will have as many copywriters as we will have coders. So that's going to be the intrinsic difference, right? So anybody who wants to move to next by rediffusion should chat with Mr. Talwar. And if you have friends you think you want to bring to the new agency, you're most welcome. The agency will start from the 10th floor and then we will figure out what to do with them. There are already 3 or 4 people who joined. There are another 5 or 6 who are already on their way. So good news on that front too. Thank you once again, Rana,
Thank you.
for a fabulous presentation. Thank you. Come on, come. यार एक फोटो ले लो यार. इधर इकट्ठे यार, इकट्ठे. थैंक यू. आपकी फोटो नहीं आई, यू आर लेट. आप वापस आओ जी, वापस आओ.
आ जाओ.
कम इसको नीचे से.
हाँ, आगे आ रहा.
Okay. Thank you.
Done. Thank you. Thank you guys. Late जहाँ लिख सकते हो, if you want to take them, think about it, write something monumental, your call. We'll have another cup of coffee. अच्छा, before that. नहीं. अरे don't go away यार, 8 minutes.
Thank you so much.
I hope you like it. This is special because this is from our new client.
ये आपका नाम है ना?